The streets of Los Angeles whispered his name with a mix of fear and awe. In every corner, in every shadow, his presence was felt, a looming figure that commanded both respect and terror. Monster Kody, Enforcer, a name that struck a chord deep within the heart of the city, echoing through the alleys and boulevards. A name synonymous with the brutal reality of gang life, a stark reminder of the violence that plagued the city. His reputation was built on the streets, where every action was a testament to his unyielding resolve. Sanyika Shakur, the man behind the moniker, was a product of his environment, swallowed whole by the gang culture that promised power and belonging in the face of societal neglect. From a young age, he was drawn into a world where survival meant embracing the harshest of realities. He became a soldier in a war fought on concrete battlefields, his youth consumed by the cycle of retaliation and bloodshed. Each day was a battle, each night a struggle to stay alive in a world where trust was a rare commodity. His story, however, was far from unique. It was a narrative shared by many, a tragic tale of lost potential and shattered dreams. Countless others like him were lost in the labyrinthine world of gangs, their lives dictated by codes of violence and loyalty. They were brothers in arms, bound by a shared fate and an unspoken understanding of the world they inhabited. Sanyika, however, possessed a sharp mind, an intellect that simmered beneath the surface of his hardened exterior. He was more than just a product of his environment. He was a thinker, a strategist, someone who saw beyond the immediate chaos. He chronicled his experiences in stark detail, his words painting a grim picture of life and death within the Crips' ranks. His writings were a window into a world that few understood, a testament to the harsh realities of gang life. His autobiography, Monster, the Autobiography of an LA gang member, offered a glimpse into the abyss, a raw and unfiltered account that shocked and captivated readers. It was a story that needed to be told, a voice that demanded to be heard. But even in the darkest corners of his life, a flicker of something different began to emerge. Amidst the violence and despair, there was a glimmer of hope, a sense that change was possible, a yearning for change, a desire to break free from the chains that bound him to a life he no longer recognized as his own. It was a slow, painful process, but the desire for something better began to take root. This internal struggle, this battle for his very soul, would define the next chapter of Sanyika Shakur's life. It was a journey of self-discovery, a quest to redefine his identity and find a path that led away from the darkness. As he navigated this tumultuous path, Sanyika's story became one of redemption and transformation. It was a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, a reminder that even in the bleakest of circumstances, change is possible. With the support of those who believed in him, Sanyika began to forge a new path. It was not an easy journey, but it was one filled with purpose and determination. In the end, Sanyika Shakur's story is one of hope, a powerful narrative that underscores the possibility of change. It is a story that continues to inspire, a reminder that no matter how deep the darkness, there is always a way out. The transition was anything but smooth. It was a tumultuous journey filled with moments of doubt and despair, where every step forward seemed to be met with an equal force pulling him back. Shakur's attempts to distance himself from the grip of his past were met with resistance, both internally and from the world that refused to see him beyond the label of monster. The shadows of his former life loomed large, casting a long and dark shadow over his every move. He turned to activism, raising his voice against the very system that had failed him and countless others. His speeches were filled with passion and conviction, resonating with those who had felt the sting of injustice. He spoke out against gang violence, advocating for peace and understanding in communities torn apart by senseless bloodshed. His message was clear: unity and compassion were the keys to breaking the cycle of violence. He embraced the teachings of revolutionary thinkers, devouring literature that spoke of social justice and equality. These writings became his guiding light, offering a new perspective on the world and his place within it. Their words ignited a fire within him, fueling his desire to dismantle the oppressive structures that perpetuated the cycle of poverty and violence he knew so well. He was determined to be a catalyst for change, to transform his pain into a force for good. He became a voice for the voiceless, a beacon of hope for those trapped in the same darkness he was desperately trying to escape. His journey was not just about personal redemption, but about lifting others out of the shadows as well. His journey was fraught with challenges. Each day brought new obstacles, testing his resolve and commitment to his newfound path. The streets he had once ruled now viewed him with suspicion, his past a haunting specter that refused to be forgotten. The whispers and glances were constant reminders of the life he was trying to leave behind. He faced threats and accusations of betrayal, his attempts at reform dismissed by those who couldn't comprehend his transformation. The skepticism was palpable, but it only strengthened his resolve. But Sanyika pressed on, driven by an unwavering belief in the power of redemption, his voice growing stronger with each passing day. He knew that true change was never easy, but he was prepared to fight for it, no matter the cost. His journey was a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always a glimmer of hope. Despite his efforts to rebuild his life, Sanyika Shakur found himself adrift. The world around him seemed to move forward, but he remained stuck in a cycle of despair and uncertainty. The weight of his past, the trauma he carried within, made it difficult to find solid ground. Each step he took felt heavy, burdened by memories that refused to fade. He became a nomad, moving from place to place, seeking solace and a sense of belonging that seemed perpetually out of reach. The cities he wandered through were vast and indifferent, offering no sanctuary. The streets that had once been his battlefield now offered him little comfort. They were filled with ghosts of his past, haunting him at every turn. He found himself drawn to the fringes of society, finding kinship with those discarded and forgotten. These were the people who, like him, had been chewed up and spat out by a world that had no place for them. The homeless encampments that dotted the urban landscape became his refuge, a place where he could shed the weight of his past and embrace the raw vulnerability of shared experiences. Here, he was not judged by his history, but accepted for who he was in the present. It was in these forgotten corners of the city that Sanyika found a semblance of peace, surrounded by others who understood the pain of marginalization and the struggle for survival. They shared stories, laughter, and tears, creating a fragile but genuine bond. His nomadic existence was a testament to the enduring scars of his past. Each journey he undertook was a search for redemption, a quest to find meaning in a life marred by violence and loss. The violence he had both inflicted and endured left an indelible mark, a constant reminder of the fragility of life and the unforgiving nature of the streets. These scars were not just physical but emotional, etched deep into his soul. Yet, in the company of fellow travelers on the margins, Sanyika found a sense of community, a shared humanity that transcended the harsh realities of their circumstances. They were a family forged in adversity, bound together by their collective resilience and hope for a better tomorrow. The day had been long, the California sun beating down relentlessly on the makeshift shelters of the encampment. As dusk settled, casting long shadows across the dusty ground, a sense of weary tranquility descended upon the residents. Sanyika Shakur, a familiar figure amongst the displaced souls, sat alone, his back resting against a concrete wall. He had been quieter than usual, lost in thought, his eyes distant and troubled. The other residents, accustomed to his pensive moods, gave him space, respecting the unspoken boundaries of a shared past etched in hardship and resilience. There was a palpable tension in the air, a heaviness that hung over the encampment like a shroud. The pages of the book he held lay forgotten, his mind consumed by thoughts he kept hidden from the world. The burden of his past, the constant struggle to reconcile his former self with the man he aspired to be, weighed heavily upon him. In the fading light of day, Sanyika Shakur found himself grappling with the ghosts of his past, the echoes of a life lived on the edge of a razor. As night fell, enveloping the encampment in an eerie darkness, hushed whispers began to circulate. Sanyika's unusual silence, the haunted look in his eyes, had sparked concern among those who had come to rely on his quiet strength. He had always been a source of comfort, a pillar of support in a world that offered little solace. His words, when he did speak, were disjointed, his thoughts fragmented and laced with a chilling premonition. He spoke of unfinished business, of debts that could never be repaid. His ramblings, fueled by a mixture of fear and resignation, painted a disturbing picture of a man teetering on the precipice of despair. Fear, like a contagious disease, began to spread through the encampment. The residents, bound by their shared vulnerability, sensed that something was terribly wrong. The night wore on, each passing hour marked by Sanyika's increasingly erratic behavior and the growing unease of those who witnessed his unraveling. As dawn broke, casting a pale light across the encampment. An unsettling silence hung in the air. The usual sounds of life stirring, the hushed whispers of waking souls, were conspicuously absent. A sense of dread, heavy and suffocating, descended upon the makeshift community. It was then that the discovery was made. Sanyika Shakur, the man who had sought redemption amidst the ruins of his past, lay lifeless in his tent. His eyes, wide and vacant, stared blankly into the void, his body contorted in a grotesque mockery of peace. The news of his passing spread through the encampment like wildfire, leaving behind a trail of shock, disbelief, and a profound sense of loss. The circumstances surrounding his death were shrouded in mystery. Whispers of foul play, of a life tragically cut short, circulated among the grieving residents. The police, their faces etched with the grim familiarity of countless similar scenes, combed through the scant belongings of a man who had spent his life seeking solace on the margins of society.